Hello and welcome to Henrico County Public Schools. My name is Leslie Hughes and I'm the Chief Learning Officer. This week you have had such an exciting time, and from what I understand, you've learned quite a bit about the instruction in our division, have learned about expectations for your classroom, have had opportunities to meet your principal, your mentor coordinators, and your mentors that will be supporting you this school year. You've had opportunities to learn about your school campus, meet new colleagues, and have had time to set up your classroom. I hope you've enjoyed this exciting time and look forward to supporting your work in the classroom. As a division focused on learning, we will be continuing the practice of maintaining quality instruction as a teaching community throughout this school year. To share more about what you might expect for this upcoming school year, I'd like to introduce you to an exceptional leader, one who has vision, leadership, and who supports each and every one of us every day, our superintendent, Dr. Amy Cashwell.
Thank you, Dr. Hughes. Well, it is such a pleasure to be with everybody today. There's so much excitement going into the new school year, and I know there are a lot of nerves too, and that's probably true every single year, but I especially want to acknowledge that, you know, I understand that this year is unusual in so many ways, and that the health and safety concerns that are on your mind are on our mind too, and the Henrico team is doing an incredible job making sure that we welcome this new year with all kinds of enthusiasm, but also with care and caution as we make sure that we're taking care of one another and our students. I just want to acknowledge that as we start what I know is an incredibly unusual year. So I want to introduce myself a little bit more to you. As Dr. Hughes said, I am your superintendent and am just so honored to serve our schools in Henrico and to be with all of you. So I am going to warn you that some photos from the 1990s are coming up, so you may want to proceed with caution. So New Teacher Academy certainly is one of my favorite times of the year, and you know, it was not that long ago. I guess it's getting longer and longer ago, but it feels like it was only moments ago that I was sitting in the same seat you are. So whether you're brand new to the profession or new to Henrico as a teacher, but certainly for those of you who may be brand new to the profession, you're thinking, oh my goodness, what is it going to be like? Are my students going to connect with me? Am I going to connect with them? You know, how is this going to work? And there are lots of nerves, right? So, and if you're new to the county, you're just wondering about how you'll connect. Well, you also may be wondering, am I going to, in my first year of teaching, have to pose for a photo with my arms crossed on a banister? Well, spoiler alert, I did have to do that, but you won't have to. So that's positive news. You see lots of hairspray in effect my first year too. I tried to lock that hair in place for all the excitement in the second grade classroom I was teaching that year. That they were quite a bunch. I remember them vividly, my first class. But anyway, things may look different today, but the core values of teaching absolutely remain the same, right? Teachers, you are the backbone of our school division. And without you, our students wouldn't be as successful as they are. And so we appreciate our teachers. I can't underscore the connections that are made in the classroom from the pre-K to 12 level and what that means for our community and the service you provide, not only to Henrico County Public Schools, but to our community. So I was so proud to become superintendent of our school division. You know, we are a diverse and wonderful community. We have 72 schools and program centers. We serve more than 50,000 students, have more than 7,000 employees, about 4,000 of which are teachers. So that's pretty exciting. And in all that we do, we are anchored in what are called our cornerstones. So the graphic you see on your screen, those little symbols, you're going to see an awful lot of as you enter Henrico County. And so we are anchored in these cornerstones that show up there on the right. And so let's take those cornerstones one by one, just spend a few minutes on them. So we're going to start with safety and wellness. And so when we think about safety and wellness, we think about building an equitable, Oh, actually, we're going to start with academic growth. My notes are in a different order, but that's okay. You'll find we know these all very well. So academic growth, this is probably the most obvious one when you think about your role as a teacher and the instructional focus, right? Making sure our students are growing from these experiences you're helping create in the classroom that prepare students to reach their full potential. So that's certainly one. Let's take the next one. There's safety and wellness. So safety and wellness, again, wow, in every year this is important, but I'm sure, as I mentioned in my opening comments, this one is on the top of everybody's mind this year. But we're not just talking about physical safety and remaining well when we think of all the circumstances around us, but really this idea of psychological safety as well. How are we creating an environment that's equitable, that's inclusive, provides for the social, emotional, and cultural physical wellness of all stakeholders. So this is something that's incredibly important to us in Henrico County Public Schools. Take a look at our next cornerstone, relationships. It's all about relationships. Again, you hear that students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That is so true. How are you going to enter that classroom and your school community and build those authentic, trusting connections? And once you've built those connections and relationships, students are really able to soar and reach their full potential. And we know you'll be building relationships not with the students, but with their caretakers, their families, the staff around you, and the school community at large when you're doing good work together on behalf of our students. So take the next one, equity and opportunity. So again, one of our cornerstones that anchors our work, really understanding that there is that collective effort between all of us to make sure that we're doing what we can in our roles to really reduce any disparities or gaps that exist. Sometimes we're talking about achievement gaps, thinking about discipline disparities among students from various demographics and backgrounds through engaging, meaningful, and relevant experiences. So, we are constantly improvement-driven school division. And when we see where data and outcomes aren't matching our intent or what we know and believe about students, which is that all students can achieve, we've got to dig in and do the work to make sure that there's nothing in the system, nothing in the classroom that's creating barriers or furthering disparities. We're doing our part to make sure that we're reducing them and making sure all students are engaged in meaningful and relevant experiences. All right, so thinking past our cornerstones for a moment, the learner profile. This is something you're going to see an awful lot of. Not only is it a beautifully colorful and eye-catching graphic, I think this is also in some ways a compass for us as it guides us in our work. So I think the cornerstones kind of outline why we're doing what we're doing, and then this is going to be how we accomplish that in the classroom and what we're wanting for all of our students as they are with us in their school experience. And that's why you see a student right there at the center of this graphic, because students are at the center of all that we do. And the outcomes that we want for them are made possible by staying focused on the elements that are outlined here in this learner profile. So on the outside of the profile, you can see that learning is anytime and anywhere. Gosh, we learned that during the pandemic, right? With virtual learning and everything else. It's authentic and connected. It is student owned and it is community supported. And so on the inside, you see those 6 C's, and those are the outcomes and attributes and skills we want our students to have as a result of their time with us. So we certainly want them to learn math and science and social studies and all of the standards of learning, but we want them to do that while they're also honing those life-ready attributes of creative thinking, critical thinking, their ability to collaborate, communicate, be good global citizens, and exhibit quality character. So let's dig in to each of these attributes that our life ready skills so that are within the Henrico learner profile. So when you're creating experiences for your students in the classroom, as I said, they're going to be aligned to standards, but they're also going to be infusing these outcomes. So we know what critical thinkers and creative thinkers do, and you can see those outlined here on the slide, but really creating classroom experiences that allow students to analyze and synthesize and learn how to generate new ideas as a result of their learning and experiences. All right, looking at some others. Quality character and global citizenship. You know, how are you helping your students develop these skills and attributes, right? How can you help them learn how to be active participants, not just in your school classroom or your school community, but in larger society? You know, I think there are so many examples of ways this can be done, and that you are inspiring students to have quality character. All right, some others. Communication and collaboration. I think communication is one that's really especially important and is something I know our teachers are working on with our students, not just in written communication and verbal communication, but understanding that listening to others is part of that communication cycle, and this idea of exploring and exchanging ideas. What does it look like? How can students get better at that? And build on the voices of other learners in the classroom and school community. So that's a really important one, as well as the collaboration. So that ability to work with others. So again, creating experiences in the classroom that help students become great communicators and collaborators. And I covered those first. Again, understanding that those things happen in the classroom that is student owned, right? Students have an active role in not only creating, but co-creating those experiences with the classroom teacher, and doing so in a manner that brings in those real world authentic connections. Can be anytime, anywhere, right? We're lifelong learners, whether we're at home, in a museum, in the library, or walking through a park. We're making connections to what the content is we've learned in the classroom. And we do this with the support of our community. And that can look like partnerships, but other things as well. So again, I spent some time on that outer ring, but this really picks that apart a little more and goes a little deeper with the deeper learning model. And so this kind of really hones into those concepts that I just explored with you. And you'll become very acquainted with this Henrico learner profile and the deeper learning model, because it's really going to guide you know, the way you create experiences in the classroom. So moving on. So we want to create a culture of excellence in Henrico County Public Schools. And I think this is everyone in our organization, whether you're leading a classroom, leading a building, supporting a school from the central office, no matter what your role is. We know that we're the 6th largest school division in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and we have a beautifully diverse community, and that there are so many differences, and that together that makes us stronger. And so how can we leverage all of that to create this culture of excellence? So how can you do that? Well, first, you can be a culture builder. What's a culture builder? A culture builder leads reflective and constructive interactions, and thinking about how do you do that not only in your classroom but in your school. So really building that culture of excellence. And you can be a deeper learning leader, right? So we know what deeper learning is, but really thinking about, if I am leading deeper learning in my classroom, what's also the impact on that, not only as a teacher for my students, but as a part of a learning community in my school. I think I'm getting ahead of my slide, so I'm going to slow down and take a deep breath. So you see all those pieces that go with culture builder, and I was moving on to this notion of being a deeper learning leader, and so I was covering some of the points here. Let's go ahead and bring those all up on the slide, but making sure that, as a classroom leader, you can articulate our deeper learning model. You understand what it is we're aiming for when it comes to student attributes, and that those things are top of mind. This one's huge, being a wellness and self-care champion. So teachers are so good at taking care of others, but making sure that you're also taking care of yourself is of critical importance, right? So that when you take care of yourself, you're better able to take care of others, but that we're really putting wellness and self-care at top of mind, and really thinking about all of those social emotional elements that go along with the classroom environment. And I think that covers those. So those are, I think, the key drivers that will help us on our destination to that culture of excellence. Again, being a culture builder, a deeper learning leader, and a wellness and self-care champion. I hope those will be takeaways for you as you embark on this destination towards a culture of excellence together with us in Henrico County Public Schools. So, in closing, I think I covered some of the nuts and bolts. That was the quick acclamation to some key Henrico County documents, and again, you'll dig deeper into those later. But I really want to spend some time letting you know, again, going back to this idea of being anxious and excited for a new school year. So we're so thrilled to be opening our doors for in-person learning again. Many of our students returned in the spring, some returned for our summer academy programs, and some are coming back into our classrooms for the very first time after 18 months. And you can imagine there's a bundle of nerves coming in with our students, some of our staff. And so really trying to make sure that we're mindful of taking care of one another, acknowledging that while this may be a new beginning for you in Henrico County Public Schools, it may be a new beginning for you as an educator. It's a new beginning for many of us in different ways as we start this school year. And our schools are doing everything they can with the support of our central team to really make sure we're focused on health and safety, and that as we reopen, health and safety are of foremost concern. So each school is developing their safety plans for things like how will arrival and dismissal look, traffic hallway patterns, all those mitigation factors that we know prevent the spread of COVID-19. And so certainly masks are required by students and staff in our buildings, but making sure that there's a layered mitigation, that the frequent cleaning of high touch areas, well maintained HVAC systems, and really thoughtful, careful planning to make sure that we're mindful of all of those layers of health and safety mitigation. So please stay tuned to your school's health and safety plan, the division's health and safety notices. We've got a great back to school page on our website that you can use to keep up to date. And of course, your principal and school website are great resources too. But in closing, I just want to say I'm so glad you're here with us in Henrico County Public Schools. It's an honor to have you on our team. I am wishing you all the best for a successful first day on Wednesday, September 8th with students, but many successful days beyond. We're going to do great work together. And I'm not sure who I'm turning it over to next. But whoever's next, you are on.
Hello, thank you so much to Dr. Hughes and Dr. Cashwell for bringing us a welcome for the start of this new school year. Again, my name is Angela Stewart, and I have been communicating with all of you over the course of the last month. Thank you for your time and for being here today. And just a reminder to make sure that you complete your survey from the NTA course to make sure that we can get all of the good information of what went well and what we can continue to improve upon in serving you all this year. Thank you so much and have a great school year.